Do you think Israel will look for an excuse to invade Egypt?
I think the Israelis, and first of all, remember, their general staff is very competent. The people at the top of the Israeli Defense Force, though they may not always express their views publicly, privately, they make their views very well known, and they are not happy with this overextension. Many of them are greatly concerned about it because they understand that everything depends upon our unconditional support for whatever they want to do. And they also know that their force as it is today is exhausted. But they're looking at Egypt, and they're really very concerned about General Sisi's longevity. Frankly speaking, General Sisi, who rules Egypt, was installed in large part by us against the Muslim Brotherhood, which is led by Mr. Erdogan in Turkey, that a man named Morsi had led to victory in Egypt. And we decided that it was not in the interest of the United States, Israel, and the West for a member of the Muslim Brotherhood to rule Egypt.
Let me just stop you for a second. When you say led to victory, you mean he won an election?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
And we were unhappy with the outcome. And ultimately, there was a coup for all intents and purposes, subsequently validated or legitimated in the future by another election that obviously was tainted. But the bottom line is that we got what we thought we wanted, and we have bankrolled General Sisi and his regime. Without the money that pours into Egypt, not only would there be general unrest, but he'd have difficulty paying his armed forces, particularly the army. He's not the only one. That's also true for King Abdullah in Jordan. But right now, his position in Egypt, that is Sisi's, is very fragile. And the public, the millions of people who live in that country, it's almost 100 million people, are desperately unhappy at the failure of Egypt and the other Arab states to raise any hand whatsoever against Israel in view of its mass murder and expulsion campaign in Gaza. So I think that they're worried that he could be removed. You get a new government that is probably either the Muslim Brotherhood or close to it, and then the Suez Canal falls into the hands of people who are ostensibly enemies of Israel, the United States, and the West. And so there is some thinking going on about intervening in Egypt to seize the canal if it looks as though Sisi is going to be run out of power. Now, we all know that we went through something similar to this in 1956 during the Suez Crisis against Nasser, and Eisenhower intervened, put an end to it. The Israelis were forced back into Israel. The British and the French had to withdraw their forces. But now we have a different set of circumstances. Today, the Israel lobby controls the United States government, and it also wields powerful influence inside London and Paris. And it's not impossible that the French and the British could be persuaded to compensate for the lack of Israeli ground force in seizing control of the canal. This, of course, would be adding insult to injury on a strategic scale that's hard to even describe. The rest of the world will be horrified. This would represent a complete revision and return to imperialism and colonialism.